Very good morning to you, sir. I'm Abhimanyu Sarkar from Delhi Public School, Bangalore South, and our
And it's
students
really
with
associated like with your school. I've visited your school for quite some time. And okay, so coming to your question, yes, pandemic, I suppose we were all caught off guard when pandemic came, and we didn't know what to do. But as it always says that necessity is the mother of all invention. And that's what happened during that period of time. Very soon we could actually find out and created a classroom virtually for all of us, like all the schools around the country or around the globe in that point of time. And so we did. But initially there was difficulty, like it was a trial and error. Then we could manage to get through. But yes, finally it started, the online classes started happening fine. But I personally feel there are certain attributes that are required, especially for the learners. Uh, Taking a class in the school, like having a class physically and having a class virtually, the learner attributes change, I feel. Like the learner needs to be more of a self-learner, a self-learning pattern. And he or she need to be more of an independent learner, as we always say. So keeping that in mind, that because of that, I could understand that at the latter part of the pandemic, there were gaps created, the learning gaps, as we say, and it's natural for in this particular process, because the learners are also not prepared for, the students are also not prepared for the online method of learning. So that was a case when we started the school physically. What we did was we created a diagnostic test. So we identified the concepts, that was supposed to have, that would have been a prerequisite for the next class, and based on that, we created a diagnostic test. And so we had this. So we thought we will just have instead of classes like like for example standard 6 or 7 or 4 or 5, instead of that, we thought of having concept classes. So like for example in mathematics, if I say like in these tests that, like for example, if you have fraction or decimal, or maybe in that case rational numbers or additions or four operations, so we thought that we'll have the whoever, suppose in fraction, adding to fraction, whoever has difficulties, like for example it can be in standard 3 or it can be standard 4 or 5. I won't say it was 100% we could work out, but yes, 50 to 60% success we could manage to get in through. But yes, today's day and time, if you say, we have seen through the pandemic, it's been a year that we are working face to face. More or less now we have come in sync with the understanding. So yes, the gap, I won't say has completely been constructed or rectified, but definitely there has been an improvement of almost 60 to 70% students. But yes, this was an absolute a different challenge which all of us had faced in, but it has given us a different perspective also as far as teaching learning is concerned. So yes, so what we have done is every Saturday we try to have an online class so that the students don't get off track, if at all we have to have online classes at any point of time. So that's one practice that we have brought in, right? Yes. Can you go with
so
your
these are
next
all
question?
very being part of the COVID batch. These are all very ingenious methods. Thank you so much for your insights. So for my second question, how do you support and encourage professional development opportunities for teachers and staff to enhance their teaching skills and stay updated with the best practices?
When we talk about when we talk about teacher development program, or we talk about the professional development, we always feel that it's training of teachers, but I'm sure all of us will agree to this fact that it's much beyond this training aspect. So it's not only the training, the content training, but there are many attributes here. I would start with attitude and attribute. Like a teacher comes to a school, the school has its own institutional vision, right? And then there is a team vision, or what we call it as the shared vision. But the teacher who has come has got his or her own vision too, right? So what he or she wants to do in life, how would like what are his objectives of being a teacher, that has to match up first with the institutional vision. When that happens, then only the teacher will be confident and comfortable in the system of working. Otherwise, in a couple of years, she or he might find that, okay, I'm caught in a wrong job, so prefer to leave. So it all starts from there. The first is the setting up of the attributes and the attitudes. Then come the aptitude, right, or the abilities, as we say. So if we're talking about the abilities, that's where the association, the teacher association, or the teaching association is concerned. So if you talk about the teaching learning, if you talk about the classroom teaching, so what we have done is we have these observations of multi layers. One is the peer observation happens, and there is a feedback from there. Then there's a senior observation happens. That means the HOD, or the dean, or maybe the coordinator or the principal, and there's a feedback mechanism there. And then finally there is also a self analysis, right? From these three, what we try to do is we try to come up with the, like, when we take the data, analyze the data, we come up with the requirement or the need for the teacher to be supported. And from there the training needs are developed, and that's how the training happens. And it's not only the training has to connect to the classroom performance also. So I would say there are three most important aspects. One is the development of attitude attribute. Then comes the aptitude and the ability. And the third is the feedback mechanism. I think these are the three important pillars that we are focusing in our school as far as the professional development of the school, of the teachers is concerned. And so far so good, and things are working pretty fine for us. Yes. Go
Yes,
ahead.
yes, as a student, I'm pleasantly surprised that teachers go through such a rigorous pattern to be as good as they are. So thank you for your insight, sir. So for my third question, it's a fact that students spend the majority of their day with their parents. How do you engage with parents and families to create a strong school-home partnership that supports the students' personal and academic growth?
Hmm. I think this is very, very valid and valued also. Um, Parents are a very important stakeholder. It is a cliched saying, but that's a fact too. Like if you're looking at creating a learning environment in the school, it's very important that the student, of course, most important, the teacher as well as the parent, all the three has to be in sync, and then only it works well. So sometimes we tend to push the parents a little behind in this entire scenario, but that actually creates an unhealthy situation, which I have observed. So I feel it's very important that we bring in this. So I always have this mantra of 3 C's. One is the communication. Need to see to it that you have to see to it that the communication that goes in terms of not only the verbal communication, like for example, what is our plan, what is our academic plan, right? What are the activities that we are planning to do for the student, and how do we assess the student, what sort of feedback that's happening, the entire procedure. I think the feedback needs to come from the parents also. So that's one, communication, the feedback from the communication. Second is the collaborate. If you look at it, during the pandemic also we had different programs that we had called it as a happy Saturday, which worked well for us. From it used to happen from 5:30 to 6:30. So every Saturday we used to invite maybe a doctor, or sometimes an artist, a singing artist, or sometimes a student used to perform, or we had a psychologist. How do we handle stress at that point of time? Or at that point of, if you say 2021 and 21-22, it was the advent of the National Education Policy 2020, and we thought that it's very important that parents should be knowing about it. So we had this series of programs that we did this, and in collaboration with CBSE, that the programs that they used to conduct, there also we used to share the videos with the parent. And the third aspect, so communicate, collaborate, and the third aspect is the contribute. It's very important that we have the parent contribution. So it's identify the strength of the parent. Like we have many parents who are, I'm sure many schools have that, like whether they're doctors or professors, or maybe in the they are in the civil services or police, or maybe a successful businessman. They come and share their program, their thought with the students, which we have a program called the Achievers Meet. So through that, we invite the parents where they talk to the students. And I have seen that through the feedback I have seen, it has really made a lot of difference. So I think this communicate, collaborate, and contribute works very well as far as the parents engagement with the school is concerned. Yeah. Yes, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So the three C's mantra and your experiences, it's a very good. It's like almost overwhelming. I'm so glad that I'm interviewing you today. It's very knowledgeable for me, and what you said, it can also be a good professional development for the students. Thank you so much, sir.